What is up, Dolph fans, and welcome into the premiere episode of Dolphins HQ from the Baptist Health Studios here in Miami Gardens. You might be asking yourself, what is Dolphins HQ? I think the best way to describe our vision here is an expansion of the Draft Time podcast, but don't worry, the podcast is not going anywhere. We just wanted to bring you an all-access look at your Miami Dolphins, going behind the scenes with your favorite team and bringing my content, my analysis, my breakdowns, all of that to life through a video platform. This is Dolphins HQ. Let's go.
He's got Hill. That's a touchdown.
And they sack him again. This time it's Sealer.
That's how you win in this league.
Our aim here on HQ is to make you a smarter football fan, to bring you insights you can't get anywhere else, and to get you closer to your favorite players and our beautiful facilities right here in Miami Gardens. But above all of that, we just want to have some fun while we're doing it. If we capture our vision in this show, you'll come away from an episode with an understanding of how the Dolphins created lateral displacement from their 12 personnel run game, but also had a laugh with a touch of mirth that we hope to sprinkle in throughout every single episode. And I'm actually told I'm the only one in our studio here that knows what mirth means. And what a time to unveil HQ. 4 consecutive winning seasons, back-to-back playoff trips. We've got a cheetah, a penguin, and our quarterback all signed, sealed, and delivered for the foreseeable future. It's a great time to be a Dolphins fan. We kick off the season with a rematch between two quarterbacks who have kind of been the it guys since their high school days. Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence was the #1 quarterback recruit in 2018, with Tua Tagovailoa taking the top dual threat spot in 2017. They both appeared in 2 national title games as collegians, both going 1-1 in those games and fulfilling their destinies as top 5 picks in the NFL draft. And this offseason, both Miami and Jacksonville awarded their star signal callers with lengthy contract extensions. For the 2023 passing yardage leader and the #1 offense in the league a year ago, the continued evolution of the system should spark confidence among the players and the fan base alike. Last week, Mike McDaniel discussed the intricacies of calling a game in week #1, how there's no such thing as saving bullets, but rather showing the defense one thing, forcing them to stop that one thing, and then evolving the play from that position. And that approach has paid off each of the last 2 Septembers for McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins. Teams have had to play catch-up right out of the gate with their explosive attack. In his head coaching career, McDaniel is 6-1 in the month of September, averaging 33 points per game. And over those 7 contests, Tagovailoa has thrown for 16 touchdown passes, 9 of those going to the aforementioned cheetah and penguin Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. That'll be the first test for the Jacksonville defense. They ranked 26th in the NFL last year against the pass, allowing 240 yards per game, which also happens to be the career mark for Tua Tagovailoa. But when it comes to this Dolphins team, there is talent at every single level, and it's safe to say they are all fired up to get their season started on Sunday afternoon.
We all excited, man. We got a lot of weapons, a lot of playmakers on this team, man. So everybody's, on the very edge of their seats, man. Just waiting for this moment. I think these three days that we had off, all I could think about was just lining up, playing alongside of the guys on offense. So I'm very excited, man. Like every year is another opportunity, man. Like to win games and create memories, man. Like with a great group of guys. And you said it, like this is our best team that we done had since we've been here. So what a time to be alive, man. To be a Dolphin fan.
All of this explosiveness, all this talent, how can we come together? And I think that's going to be the journey of our team, is how we can lean on one another, how we can be accountable to one another, because we don't need one single person to carry this load. Like we got a lot of guys on both sides of the ball that can do that when their number's called, and it's about being patient. It's about making the plays that come to you when your number's called. So I think that's what's going to be most exciting about this year, is seeing so many different talented guys step up at different points.
For a season opener, we can only go off the 2023 metrics, but make no mistake about it. The Jags were aware of these numbers and went to work bolstering that side of the football, which brings us into our first marquee matchup of the game. Those Dolphins dynamic wide receivers versus the Jacksonville secondary. The name to highlight on the back end for the Jags is Tyson Campbell. Like the Dolphins' triumvirate of Tua, Tyreek, and Waddle, Campbell also got paid this offseason. And prior to an injury he suffered in Week 6, Campbell was top 10 in the NFL last season in yards allowed per coverage snap. But they also went to work fortifying that side of the football, both in the secondary and up front, and also on the coaching staff, where it begins with defensive coordinator Ryan Nielsen, who was hired away from the Atlanta Falcons. He cut his teeth in the NFL under Saints head coach Dennis Allen, which emphasizes aggressive play on the perimeter. You can expect a mix of man coverage with two-man, which means two deep safeties with man coverage underneath that can play under the receivers and funnel those routes into their help over the top. They typically pair that with different pressures and plenty of stunts, guys crossing their pass rush paths, so the continuity and cohesiveness on the Dolphins' offensive line will be paramount. It's good that most of the offensive line from Miami has 3 years of NFL experience in this offense, cultivating their craft. Nielsen also added Ronald Darby and Trey Flowers to the Jacksonville defensive backfield. They paired that with game record Josh Allen and Arik Armstead up front, who signed a 3-year deal to come over from the 49ers. Sometimes it can take a few games for a new system to take hold, and what a test for the Jags out of the gate with one of the game's most explosive offenses that returns all of its key parts, including a quarterback and a play caller, for a third consecutive season. On the other side of the football, the Dolphins are breaking in their own new system under coordinator Anthony Weaver. The beauty of Coach Weave's system is how it caters to flexibility, something Miami has in spades. In the trenches, the Dolphins have a variety of versatile players that can do the job from multiple spots, both on the line and at linebacker. Look for newcomer Jordan Brooks to be a critical part in the middle of the defense and factor into the many rush packages that Anthony Weaver deploys. He'll work behind two of the best defensive tackles in the game, two Dolphins captains, in Zach Sealer and Calais Campbell, in an attempt to keep Trevor Lawrence uncomfortable all game long. The Jags' offensive line will have its hands full with the Dolphins' front. For Miami, it's all about mixing their looks, winning their one-on-one matchups, and making Lawrence hold the ball and play out of structure and out of rhythm is the quickest path to victory for the Dolphins' defense. At home, the Dolphins are an especially tough out, particularly early in the season. We mentioned that 6-1 mark in September under Mike McDaniel. The team is also 13-4 at home and 12-2 in games finished by quarterback Tua Tagovailoa in those contests. Fittingly, Tua is my pick to click for this game. The Dolphins' hot starts have coincided with a dominant showing from QB1 early in the season, as he has 4 opening day touchdowns in his 2 starts under McDaniel and 736 yards through the air. Another year in the system, another offseason improving his craft, and a fired-up crowd across the street at Hard Rock Stadium. I think Tua and this passing offense comes out of the gates hot and gets the scoreboard operator working early and often. The Dolphins roster produced 8 players on the NFL's top 100 list as voted by their peers, the players themselves. That was the second most of any team in the league, behind only the San Francisco 49ers, who had 9 players on that list. Miami's means of player acquisition has been as diverse as the schemes deployed by both Coach McDaniel and Weaver. Trades, waiver claims, free agent signings, draft picks, you name it, Chris Grier utilizes every avenue to build this team that's chock full of star talent. The cost of some of those trades that brought marquee players like Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb? Well, it's premium draft picks. So while the Dolphins sat out the first round of both 2022 and 23 NFL drafts, they were back in 2024 with an absolute vengeance. And while the early returns on first-round pick Chop Robinson have been chop-tastic, lots of dad jokes coming your way here on Dolphins HQ, the rest of the class has had one hell of a summer as well. Patrick Paul led the Dolphins in snaps this preseason, getting valuable reps to refine his craft as he learns behind one of the game's all-time greats in Teron Armstead. What a pairing that is. Paul showcased the traits the tackle must have in this offense by connecting on several blocks outside the numbers to spring Miami backs for big runs. And that was a joy to watch, just as it was to watch another rookie running back, Jalen Wright, who had a fantastic month of August. I personally lost count of how many 10-yard touchdown runs Wright pushed across the goal line in practices. With his decisive style paired with blazing speed, he looks the part. Joining Chop with a camp and preseason full of production off the edge was 5th-round pick Mohamed Kamara. The second all-time sack artist in Colorado State history picked up a sack in his first exhibition game and plays every single snap with his hair on fire. The Dolphins double-dipped in that 6th round with Malik Washington and Patrick McMorris. The latter, McMorris, is currently on injury reserve, but he made his presence felt in the preseason with 9 tackles in just 2 games. Washington, however, led Miami in return yardage and sparked the offense with his 40-yard gallop on a pass behind the line of scrimmage in the Tampa Bay game. He showed the same skill set that helped him lead college football in catches and yards after the catch last season at the University of Virginia. He has been an electrifying playmaker since his arrival here in Miami. Each of those rookies made the Dolphins' 53-man roster, including undrafted cornerback Storm Duck and center Andrew Meyer. The Dolphins also picked up former Packer Grant DuBose, who got caught in the number shuffle in a loaded Green Bay receivers room. But you go back to his tape, whether it's at Charlotte in college or his preseason action this year with the green and gold, DuBose displayed his physical, imposing frame and desire to hit key blocks in the running game, and it's fun to watch. As we say around here, no block, no rock. So the roster is set, opening day is upon us, and the quest for another trip back to the postseason, a 5th consecutive winning season, and that illustrious playoff victory begins. It was a busy offseason for the Dolphins. Key parts added on offense, veteran acquisitions all over the defense to fit new DC Anthony Weaver's system. In total, Miami's opening day 53-man roster saw a 40% turnover rate from 2023. In an offense that emphasized creating and exploiting overplay, it's difficult to imagine a better changeup to the fastball that is Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle than the addition of tight end Jonnu Smith. A yak monster with 7 years of NFL experience, Smith has seen every coverage, knows every soft spot in the defense, and gives the Dolphins offense the type of weapon at the tight end position they simply have not had under Mike McDaniel. The way that his skills pair with a player like Julian Hill, for instance, who can wear defenses down off the edges with his punishing blocks, allows the Dolphins to incorporate unique action from their 12 personnel groupings, a grouping that a year ago, Miami actually converted 100% of their short yardage plays from that grouping. That means 1 back, 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers. The addition of Jonnu Smith to Hill and Durham Smythe gives Miami more options from that grouping. It gives the Dolphins a dynamic receiving threat from the more traditional 11 personnel groupings, which features 1 tight end, 3 receivers, and 1 running back. And as we saw in the preseason, Jonnu Smith can take the ball around the edge and be an absolute threat as a ball carrier. Just like Julian Hill, they force defensive backs into decision-makings around that corner, and not to mention the impact that Smith can have in the screen game, both as a blocker and as a big play receiver. On the other side of the ball is my other big impact newcomer, a guy we mentioned earlier, linebacker Jordan Brooks. Plug in the Seahawks tape from 2023, and it does not take more than a snap or two to see who stirred the drink in the Pacific Northwest for the Seattle Seahawks. Probably some type of coffee, exchanging Starbucks for a Cafe Cubano. Brooks provides the middle of the Dolphins defense with a jolt of energy. His ability to play downhill against the run and as a blitzer and get depth going backwards in coverage provides Anthony Weaver with a linebacker fit for the modern game. His ability to read keys, change directions, and explode out of his stance condenses the windows the offense has to attack with in the passing game and really reduces that valuable real estate over the middle of the football field. Brooks is a punishing hitter who should afford Weaver ultimate flexibility in how he dials up his QB pressures. He produced 4.5 sacks last year on just 43 pass rush attempts, which was the best conversion rate for sack out of pressure rates of any off-ball linebacker in the entire league. Dolphins HQ is not the only new thing coming to the NFL landscape this season. The dynamic kickoff might be the biggest format or rule change we've had in league history. With kickoff return rates dwindling in recent years, the league adopted the dynamic kickoff, a new version of the play that originated in the XFL. The dynamic kickoff puts both the receiving team and kicking team on the same side of the field, where they don't start moving until the ball is either caught or hits the ground off the tee. We'll have different starting points for dead ball kicks as well. If the ball lands in the field of play and rolls through the back of the end zone, the receiving team gets the football at the 20-yard line. Now, if the kick sails through the end zone in the air, the ball comes out to the 30-yard line. And then any short kick of the landing zone or out of bounds kicks off the drive at the 40-yard line. With this new dynamic kickoff, teams are afforded the opportunity to get creative. Special teams coordinator Danny Crossman has been busy all spring and summer cooking up the Dolphins' approach to this innovative special teams change.
I think it's still a work in progress. You know, when you look at all the kicks around the league, some of them, I think some teams are playing it like it's a game, and you're seeing some different concepts. both from a return aspect and a coverage aspect. Some of the other teams are, a couple teams are just hitting touchbacks, whether that's going to be their philosophy and their plan, or that's just something they're doing in the preseason. You don't know. But it's been very, very interesting, and it's fun to come in and spend a bunch of hours doing something you wouldn't normally do. And you're seeing a lot of interesting things from a technique standpoint, from a concept standpoint. So, but I think it's still a work in progress. And like I've said all along, I think it's going to be a work in progress till you get 4, 5, 6 weeks in the league.
The best part about the new kickoff, especially from a Dolphins perspective, is that it closely resembles an offensive play. And coaches have had all camp and preseason to try out different formations and play calls. And we've seen some semblance of offensive and defensive influence on the kickoffs. Kick teams have run stunts where players set picks and cross paths in an attempt to penetrate the offensive side, while kicking teams have incorporated run game scheme as they try to pop a big return. More offensive reps for a team that finished first in total offense in 2023, a team with more runs of 15 plus yards than anybody else last season. Sign me up for that. All right, here with Dolphins running back Devon Achane. Devon, first season opener for you in your NFL career. How pumped are you for that?
I'm very excited, man. Like you said, it's been a long off season, so I feel like it's been forever since I got to play, football. So, I mean, preseason over with, so week 1 is going to be here in no time.
I think it's just excitement. Like, the fans have been waiting for this for so long. We've been waiting, working our tails off for so long. It's a celebration. Like, everybody coming together, the whole community, the whole team, the whole organization. And we get to show everyone what we've been up to the past handful of months. So it's exciting.
We're doing. We have a new YouTube show hosted by yours truly.
Hosted by yours truly.
Talking to guys about opening day. So
Talking to guys about opening day.
Do you want to go talk to some of the guys about it?
Yeah, let me go talk to some guys about this.
How about your
about opening day? All right, David Long. So, the people just want to know, what's the best dad joke you got for them?
Best dad joke, even though I don't have kids.
Okay, what's the best joke that you got for the people that is watching?
I don't have one.
Any words of wisdom for the people watching this?
Consistency separates us all in the end.
Mic drop. Ladies and gentlemen, David Long Jr., number 11. Be on the lookout for him this season.
Tell me about how excited you are for your first NFL opening day.
Man, I'm excited because this is a great dream come true. We talked about this earlier, just making the 53 or, still being on this team right now. This is really important to me. So every day, Coach Reeves says it's the best. Every day you have to deposit something, you know what I mean? Like every day I'm here in these seats, they're rented, you know what I mean? And I probably didn't say it right, but the seats are rented and the rent is due every day. That's how it goes.
So you put a lot of deposits in the last 6 weeks or so. What do you think you've learned, or where do you think you've grown the most from the start of training camp to where you are now?
Man, I had to start over. I don't know the quote, but I forgot the quote, but it's like I have to start all over. Like that's the best thing for me, you know what I mean? Things that I was able to do in college, can't do it here. You know what I mean? These are great athletes, and being able to learn from these guys, like I have to reevaluate myself, readjust myself, and I know by the end of it, I am going to turn some heads.
What are you thinking about going into your first game as a pro?
I mean, honestly, the dream come true. That's going to be the first thing. Just walk out there, seeing the crowd, and just seeing my teammates, just being there with everybody, and just knowing that it's my first NFL game. I've been dreaming about this since 5 years old. But I know when I go out there, it's football at the end of the day, but I'm excited.
I told you the dad jokes were coming fast and furious here on Dolphins HQ. And I hope you enjoyed our maiden voyage as much as we did here on HQ. We have so much in store for you this season, and fans of the Draft Time podcast are going to love this element. When we get some games in the can, that is when the real fun begins, as we can break down key moments in Dolphins victories right here on HQ. Think about it as the Tuesday podcast, the All-22 review in video form. That's our time from the Baptist Health Content Studio. We'll be back after the Bills game on Thursday Night Football to get you ready for Week 3 in Seattle. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you then.